Hey, welcome everybody. So glad you're here with us today. Tiffany and I are really excited about this episode because Tiffany, you have had quite a week. So I'm going to let you get us started. Tell us a little bit about what's been going on.
Oh my God. So I went from absolute breakdown, feeling lost and feeling like my medical team doesn't give a hoot about me and doesn't listen and doesn't understand. That was a Tuesday, sobbing, sobbing, sobbing on the couch, to Wednesday, meeting with my clinical trial team. And they were just so amazing. So that was a month ago. And then yesterday, I went through all the testing to be finally accepted into the clinical trial. Clinical trial process is pretty long, right? Like they need to get the right people in.
Right.
So I went through all the testing yesterday and I might be a participant in a clinical trial. And Bree, it is a completely different experience. Like I'm smiling today. So do you want to talk about that today?
Yes, let's talk about that. Because I think the thing that's been the hardest thing for us to deal with in this situation is the lack of empathy and understanding and feeling like your doctor, who's your partner in your health, right? Can we say that? I think we consider the doctor our partner in our health.
In
And you have
ideal world,
really
absolutely.
crappy partners.
Yeah.
And then when you do find a partner in health, what a difference that has been. And to
Yep.
talk a little bit about what that, like, because now you can see the huge comparison between having somebody that just doesn't seem to give a rat's ass, let's just say that, to people that are fully committed and concerned in partnering with you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll do kind of like, you know, how you have those comparison charts?
Mm-hmm.
We'll do kind of a comparison. Okay. So um, let's say nephrologist. When the last time I met with my nephrologist, they were like,
What's a nephrologist?
oh, nephrologist, kidney doctor. So,
Gotcha.
so for those of you, thank you. For those of you that don't know, your kidneys control your blood pressure. They're the main controls of your blood pressure. And they control the fluid going in and out of the kidneys, and that fluid sends messages to your vascular system and nervous system to control your blood pressure. Okay. And when all of that is working great, your blood pressure is good. It's working fine. And then when there are problems in that system, then your blood pressure doesn't work fine. So typically, a nephrologist is who you see when your blood pressure isn't right, and they help you manage your blood pressure. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So my nephrologist was like, well, we've done all the testing, nothing's standing out. At this point, lose weight, and I suggest behavioral therapy. And of course, once the nephrologist says that, because they're the specialist, then every other doctor parrots the same thing, right? And because every other doctor is like, well, this is the doctor that handles it. So, you know, so that was nephrologist there. In the clinical trial, met with the hypertension specialist nephrologist, and he's like, well, you've been on blood pressure meds for way too long. Because I've been on blood pressure meds since I gave birth to my second child. And he's like, that's too long. You're too young to be on blood pressure meds this long. Like, we need to figure out a way to get you off your blood pressure meds. And even if you don't get accepted into this clinical trial, we need to figure out how to get you off your meds. Like, we need to figure out why your blood pressure is doing this. And I was like, okay.
Where am I? What's happening? This is not normal.
This is what I've been asking. And, you know, and I've always said to my doctors, look, if I need to be on meds, I need to be on meds. I don't have a problem with that. I just need to understand what is causing this, because at this point it's ramping up and I'm getting on more meds and more meds and more meds, and it's not controlling it. And so I'm like, okay, at some point we have to say, this plan isn't working. This medication plan isn't working. What else could it be? You know? And my current medical team, not interested really in exploring that further. Clinical trial team, they're trial people. They're curious. I mean, they are following a protocol. so they have to be curious within their protocol. But I think people that are attracted to being part of a clinical trial are naturally curious people, and they're interested. I'm a fun science experiment for them.
Yeah.
And a person, like the whole team just treated me so nice. So anyway,
It's such a it and it's okay. I have so many issues with things here. Let's just say this. First of all, I think the biggest issue is this, that these doctors who care so much about you and want to get answers for you are the exception to the rule instead of being the rule, and
right.
having these doctors that don't give a crap be the exceptions. Like,
Yep.
not every apple is rotten in a bag of apples, but like when all like you just were bobbing for apples and you had to search for a really long time
Mm-hmm.
and literally almost drown yourself in the bucket to find the apple that wasn't rotten.
Yep.
That's not okay. Like, I have a problem with that. Like,
Yep.
I've had a nephrologist. I've done these things. I went and had they did a biopsy, and they did, literally it was like almost a procedure, because I was almost under for it, and they went through my now I can't think of the name of the vein, the main vein, whatever it is, my jugular vein, all the way through to my liver to do a biopsy and test the pressures. And that's like a kind of that's a whole big procedural thing to go through.
Isn't it called venal sampling, venal
something like that?
Yeah.
It's got. I used to remember the name, and it's been a while since I've had it done. Been about a year since I had that done. But to then say it's fine, everything's fine, you're fine, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's
You're
not.
like, but I'm not fine.
Things are not fine.
Like, and that's to me, like, why don't doctors take the whole picture? It's like, okay, this lab is okay. This lab is getting not okay. This lab is not okay. Looking at me, I'm not okay. The scan is like, not positive, not negative, so let's take the whole picture. Like, obviously there are some signs when you look at me and you hear the things I'm saying, and then you're looking at the labs. Like, when you look at the whole picture, this person's probably not okay. Right. So let's figure out why,
exactly.
And, it's hard. And I have, okay. So, and I think I think it's a systemic problem. So when I went to Kaiser and got the ultrasound of my kidneys, it was cool in the sense that, anything at Kaiser, they are on time. There is no waiting, right? Like, you are on time. So it feels nice in the sense of, like, my time is respected. That's cool. It's not really my time being respected, by the way. But then when you go back and get your scan, they're just doing the scan and they're not being careful with it. And so my kidney ultrasound that I got at Kaiser literally said suboptimal, was not able to visualize, right? So they weren't able to visualize my renal veins, and they weren't able to visualize the flow, do the Doppler, okay? Because there was gas in my belly. Well, same thing over here. I had gas in my belly, and the tech, like, that was supposed to take 45 minutes. She let me know. She took an hour and 20 minutes. Because she was like, she had to, for the clinical trial, she had to get good imaging. But she took the time to get good imaging. And same thing over a year ago when I was outside of Kaiser, that tech took the time when the gas was, she couldn't get the Doppler reading because the gas, she had me like get up and move around and do all kinds of stuff. She's like, okay, we got to get this gas all the way so I can see. And she did everything she could, and she got a good reading, right? So it's only been in Kaiser where it's like the lab, the radiology tech is like, well, I only have, 15 minutes to do the scan, so it's suboptimal. That's like, well, that's a waste of time and money.
Yeah.
Like, we were supposed to be looking at the Doppler, the fluids going through the veins.
Right.
And that was what I kept saying to my doctors. How can you say that everything is okay when it's not been visualized? So.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then you get into a place where, like, oh, Now I know. Now I know the way it's supposed to be. This is how
Hmm.
it's supposed to be. So let's back up a little bit about how you how you ended up finding this clinical study, because we hear a lot of people about like, oh, clinical studies and all these different things, and we might see it on Grey's Anatomy and all these, doctor shows, like, I'm going to get you in a clinical trial. But like, you weren't really having anyone champion that for you on the medical side of things. So how did you go about finding this and doing this?
It is so silly, Brie. It was an Instagram ad.
Shut up.
Yeah, it was an Instagram ad. And it was the second hypertension clinical trial that I applied for. The first one I didn't qualify because of the anatomical issues with my kidneys. And they were like,
Mhm.
sorry, you can't qualify. And so then this new one came up. And so I applied for it. And, I let them know, I've got two renal arteries, spongy medullary kidneys. Does that disqualify me? And they're like, no, no, that doesn't disqualify you from this. And so then I got to go through the process, but literally it was an ad on Instagram. And probably because I follow a lot of medical type of content. And also, I'm doing all of the internet searching on, blood pressure and kidney issues and stuff like that. Algorithm feeds you what you're looking
Mhm.
for. And so, yeah, it was literally a clinical trial ad on Instagram.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. So they're out there. So you just have
they
to
are.
be proactive and search a little bit and put the feelers out there on what it is that you
Yeah.
need, right?
Now, here's the
And it'll
cool
start
thing.
feeding it to you a little
If
bit.
you have a teaching school, a medical teaching school near you, like this is at UC Irvine Medical Center. So UC Irvine is a top school in our area, and then this is the medical center attached. So it's a teaching school. A lot of teaching schools do the clinical trials, right? It just
Nice.
goes hand in hand with the ethos of the school. You can go and do a clinical trial search. Like right now, UC Irvine has, 150 clinical trials that they're working on. And you can actually go to their website and look for clinical trials and see, is there one that fits, what I'm interested in fixing, in my condition that I have going on. And so I definitely recommend if you have a teaching school in your area, Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, if you're near there, that's great. But just look up, like, do an internet search for clinical trials in hospitals near you. Some of us are more fortunate than others. I do live in an area that has a lot of options. I don't live in a rural area, um, but there are options out there to look for clinical trials. It is a process. It is a process. It's a lot of commitment on your part, committing to whatever program. There's like I've had to keep logs and I have to go. It's a 5-year study, and it's like 32 visits in those 5 years, and scans and lab work, and I have a surgery, in December if I am accepted into the clinical trial. So you have to be okay with sticking to it and following the program. But if you're okay with that, then I think it's a really cool thing. It's a very cool
It's a very
experience.
cool thing.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, with our situations and with many people that have this situation, we are not getting the help that we need, and we get so frustrated with that. And we're talking about our life. We're not talking about, I'm going to do, oh, well, I'm going to get my nails done and I'm going to wear the nails that are like Cynthia Revo length, and I'm going to test them and see if they're okay. We're not talking about
Mm-mm.
something that's, superficial, and this is something that's like our lives depend on,
Mm-hmm.
like finding the things that we need and really going out and being proactive about finding the right care. So,
Yep.
I was proactive. I said, my doctors here aren't serving me. I'm going to go to Mayo. Now, in my case, Mayo let me down. That's
Mm-hmm.
now they are a phenomenal organization and hospital system, and they're number one in the world. And kudos to them. In my personal situation, trying not to get a lawsuit. In my personal situation, I did not find the care that I was looking for. My
Mm-hmm.
care being that they took my symptoms seriously and were working towards finding a cause. I'm not, and let's be clear, not necessarily a solution. And that's not, I'm not asking you to solve everything. Maybe it's not solvable. I don't even know. But I want to know if you can find a cause. I want you to be a partner with me
Hmm.
in figuring out what the heck is going on and why am I now years into diuretics and I'm still putting water weight on? Why is that still happening to me?
Yep.
So it's a, you know, and amongst a million other things that are going on with me, I need to know what it is, because you know I've already had a tear in my aorta. I could end up with another tear, which could end up into a dissection. And if you know anything about dissections, if your
That's it.
heart, if you get a dissection, you're pretty much dead. It's like it was an absolute miracle that I didn't die from the tear. I was told by my cardiothoracic surgeon that did surgery, that did my open heart surgery, that actually my aorta had folded on top of my heart, and that it had sealed that tear. Like it was just
That's
sitting
amazing.
there, that it didn't it had it been up a little bit, then that tear, you know, with the pressure and everything else, it's pumping blood, could have ripped at any point in time, shredded, which is what they call a dissection. And you literally, it's like putting a cracked egg together again, right? It's
Yeah.
just almost impossible. And so, and that's why people die. That's why John Ritter died. That is
Hmm.
why Bill Pullman died. You know, they just dropped dead. Well, they had a dissection, and that's what happened. That's what killed them. So
Yep.
that's a fear that sits in the back of my mind all of the time. With all this water weight, am I putting too much pressure on my heart that's going to cause my aorta to get another tear? Am I more prone to tears? I don't have answers to any of these questions. And so I need to search out and find the remedies of someone that will look at me like they have now looked at you and said,
Hmm.
I want to be your partner in this. And I think what's really, and I can't say enough nice things about it, is they actually came, they said to you, we're going to figure this out regardless if you get in this, you know, if you make it in the trial, we're still already, I, I, I want to solve the mystery. We're in. We bought
Yeah.
tickets, front row. Let's go. We're in. We're going to do this, whether you're in the study or not now. That's absolutely incredible. To me, that is like you've already won. Whether you
Yep.
get into this now or not, you have a team of people that are invested in your health and well-being, and they want to know answers as probably almost as much as you do.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's exciting.
Yep. It is. It's very exciting. And here's a couple of things I want to point out. If I'm in this study, will it solve all of my issues and all of my problems? No, it won't. I have multi-system things going on. But this will handle the most life-threatening thing I have going on right now. And that's really important to me because uncontrolled hypertension, you're at risk of stroke, you're at risk of dementia. It does damage to your brain, it does damage to your eyes, it does damage to your heart, it does damage to your kidneys. It is multi organ and system damage when you have uncontrolled hypertension. It's the silent killer.
Mhm.
And so being able to handle this takes care of the most pressing, life threatening thing. And then I've got time to kind of explore some of those other kind of insidious things that are going on and figuring that out. And that's always what I've said to my doctors. That's what's really important to me. Like, we've got to figure out how to manage this hypertension so that, I don't have a stroke at 50 and have my quality of life is destroyed so that, I don't end up with dementia at 60. Like I have lived my life in a very healthy way, always striving to be as healthy as possible because I grew up with health problems. I am very proactive. And I've just always said to my doctors, look, I am willing to do what it takes. I will work hard. But I need help. This is something like nothing I'm doing is helping this. You know, I had hypertension when I was running marathons. I had hypertension when I was literally 135 pounds. I had hypertension in my 30s from having babies. You know, like it has nothing to do with my lifestyle. There is something wrong in my body. And so this will calm down, this surgery will calm down my system so that it's no longer in constant overdrive and constantly, my kidneys constantly saying, put that pressure up because things aren't right. It'll calm that down. And then we can explore those other things safer, right? Without that taking over. So that's the first thing. The second thing is when we are medically complex and we have nuanced health issues, people don't understand. They're like, oh, you just want to be sick. You just want to be sick. And we don't. We don't. But our medical issues are nuanced and we are alive because we live in a time when medicine can help us. You and I both would have died a long time ago.
Yes.
If there wasn't medical technology to help us get to this point. And so I want to say, I believe in science. I believe in medicine. I know without a doubt, I would have died in childhood. If I didn't die in childhood, I would have died in pregnancy.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't die in pregnancy, I would have stroked out from my hypertension because it was uncontrollable. So I'm very aware that I am alive today and able to kind of be frustrated with my complex medical issues because medicine has gotten me to this point. And I understand that medicine is now in such a nuanced place because now there's so many things that we can identify and take care of, and those super critical things that people didn't survive in the past, that now people are surviving, but then it leads to more nuanced, complex care. And I understand you and I are both in that bucket. Like we're in that nuanced care bucket. And I think the medical system has a very hard time. They're really good at acute care. They're really good at keeping you alive. Yes. But now to help you have that quality of life when, okay, you've kept me alive, thank you. But I need quality of life. I don't want dementia at 60. You know, I don't want to have a stroke at 55. So now,
Exactly.
Now let's focus on how do I have a quality of life. So those are my two big things.
Yeah, I hear you. You know, I look at my son just broke his foot and he doesn't remember how he did it. And so he went to the doctor. He went to the ortho urgent care. So we have ortho urgent care. So you don't, you know, you're not sick. You just need someone to look at your bones. Mm-hmm. So we go in there and they take an x-ray and they say, x-ray doesn't show anything. There's a small like space on the bone that looks curious, but we can't really, there's no break that we can see. Okay. But obviously something is wrong with his foot. Mm-hmm. And so they actually scheduled him for an MRI of his foot to get a better look at it. Now there's a lot of bones in your foot. There's a lot of stuff going on in just your foot. So they do the MRI and there they can see that the bone is broken. But they can also see the bones around that bone that's broken are also damaged in a certain way. And it's called Charcot. And it is something that happens with diabetics. Now, he is a type 1. He's been a type 1 since he was 12. And if they're not taking great care of themselves and their A1C is higher, this can happen in the foot. And if it progresses too much, he could get his foot amputated. Mm. And, you know, he's young. And so this is a difficult thing. But they wouldn't have seen it had they not sent for the MRI because it wasn't showing up in the regular test. And they would have just said, hey, or wear a boot. It's going to get better, you know. And they did. They put him in a boot. They're like, okay, here's some crutches and a boot. They didn't tell him to stay off of it, but they said, you know, use the crutches so you're not putting your full weight on it, all this other stuff. But then he went for that MRI. And as soon as that MRI happened, it was 0 weight bearing. You need a cast. You need all this stuff. We've got to move on this. They actually sped up his appointment to get him in so that he could get the cast put on right away. And now he has to go in and get a cast like every 2 weeks. So they have to replace it and check his foot and then put another cast back on it for at least 2 months.
Wow.
It's a big deal. And the reason I'm talking about this is because it is more than just I broke my foot or I hurt my foot, right? There's other, it's like I telling people I don't know how to skate and I'm having a really hard time with it. And then for us to say, well, you need lessons, you should take lessons. And then realizing that probably the reason they can't skate is that it's 80 degrees outside and there's no ice in the rink. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
right, if we don't look at all of the things, we can't
Mm-hmm.
make it like if you're just going to exclude all of the other stuff that you think has nothing to do with it and just say, oh, it's got to be this, it's just anxiety, it's just this, go on a diet, exercise more, and not looking at how all of these different, our bodies are so complex,
Yep.
all of these different factors that factor into it. His diabetes is a direct factor onto why his bone is broken. It's because it's soft, because he's got charcoal, because and you can see in the MRI that the bones are soft, and that's why he can't put any weight on it, because those bones can move too much when they're soft like that, and they can also shatter and turn to dust, which is really scary. So he has to be really, really careful now. And now we're working on a lot of things, and he is doing diet. He is doing that part of it. That is part of it. And the education that he needs and the doctor that he needs and the other things. And they all are pieces come together. But when you're doing some of those pieces with your own health, which is cut back on the sodium, don't, do these things, and you're doing that diet and exercise, keeping a log like you're doing, and that's not the complete puzzle. So try
Yeah.
as you might and work as hard as you can, you can only do so many of those things. And then they're not getting the results, and I don't understand why that's such a hard thing. And to say nothing of, at that point, you are then discouraged. You
Mhm.
feel like a failure. Oh, they told me to do this and this isn't working. And then they're just like, well, you must not be doing it right. Like,
Right. Blame the patient, right? Blame the
yeah,
patient. And I hear a lot of Reddit. I follow a lot of doctors. I follow them. I listen to their podcasts. I follow them because I want to understand. Like I said, I have a lot of respect and appreciate I would not be alive. So I am not like doctors are the evil and the medical system is evil. Like I'm not
mhm,
one of those people. So I follow a lot of them, but I do hear a lot say, well, my patients won't, if I tell them to fix their diet, they won't do it. And if I tell them to do this, they won't do it. And if they just want a pill, they just want an easy way, they want a pill. And sure, I'm sure there's some people that are like that, but everybody I know that is spending their money because it's the copays and the insurance and the everything, like we're spending our money and our time to come to the doctor, and it's because we want to get better, and maybe there is a pill that will help, but we'll also do the work, right? Like so many of us will
exactly.
do the work. So I implore doctors to kind of shift that script a bit instead of saying, well, my patients, if you have the my patient coming through that door only wants a pill and they're not willing to do the work. If you have that attitude, you're almost taking an adversarial viewpoint immediately. Same as
Mhm.
a patient going in and my doctor doesn't want to be my partner, my doctor doesn't want to have a part of this, they don't have time for me, then we're going in with adversarial. But if we can both say, look, we're both going to do everything we can. Doctor doesn't expect patient to be perfect. Patient doesn't expect doctor to be a miracle worker. But can we work towards this? Can we do everything we can? To me, that's perfect. Like, I know I'm complex. I don't need you to have all the answers. I just need you to be interested in figuring it out. And let's trial and error. Let's figure this out. That's how I feel.
I hear you. I'm sitting here trying to think. Um, my dogs just came out. When I look at myself, I I would, if I eat incorrectly, I will put 2 pounds of water weight on. That's
Yeah.
one meal. That's one meal. So I have 90 pounds of water weight on me right now that I can't get rid of. 90 pounds. That's happened over 3 years time. 3 years. That's how long I've been waiting to get this fixed. And that's even with my surgery, which we thought would fix it, didn't fix it. Right now, my heart's pumping and all the other stuff. Still didn't fix it. Didn't lose the water weight. 90 pounds. So just think, let's just kind of think about that. So that means that if I divide that by 2, because 2 pounds, 90 pounds, so that's 45 times that I have eaten incorrectly in 36 months. 36 months. So what is that? It's like one meal, a little over one meal per month that I didn't eat correctly, that I put water weight on.
And can you define like what this incorrect meal might be? Like, is it a Whopper and fries and a Coke and a cupcake?
Probably
Like,
a few. There's probably a few of those. I know my weaknesses. I know, like, I happen to like egg foo young a whole heck of a lot. It's one of my favorite things. When I do make it at home, I use coconut aminos because it is like 165 milligrams of sodium per teaspoon, where regular soy sauce is running around 1100 per teaspoon, just so
what a
you're
difference.
aware. So
What
I
a
do know,
difference.
like give me a food and I'll tell you what's in it for sodium milligrams. So yes, I mean, I think those are like, if you think about one meal a month, if you go out to eat anywhere, if you go to like one of my very favorite comfort foods, I'm a mac and cheese girl. I love a good bowl of mac and cheese. And I used to go, before I knew what was wrong with me and all of this stuff happened, I would go to Noodles and Company, which is like World Kitchen now, or I don't know what it's called. And they have all kinds of, everything is always noodles, obviously. And their mac and cheese was outstanding. So that would be all I ordered, was the mac and cheese. And I didn't have all the extra stuff put in it, just mac and cheese. 3,125 milligrams in that of sodium
Oh,
in that serving. So that's insane.
yeah.
That's like a crazy amount. So I could have, let's just use that for an example. So if I had that one time per month, only one screw up a month, and that's how this happened. So if you think about your diet, say the holidays are coming up, what can I eat during that time where I'm still taking care of myself? How do I keep from eating all
Mhm.
these things? And when I do go get something that I know is not good for me, I have way less of that. So my whole meal, if I want to go to Taco Bell and have something from Taco Bell, I can literally have one hard shell taco. It's 455 milligrams of sodium, just so you know. I always look that up too. So that's my whole meal right there. One hard shell taco is all I can eat if I want to stay within my dietary restrictions. So this isn't like I'm shoving stuff in my mouth all
Right.
day long, all day, every day. I just had lunch. It was homemade. I had gotten a roast. It was leftovers from a roast. So I seasoned it myself. They're all vegetables. I use broth that has 0 sodium in it because I can control that. And so I could actually have a nice sized bowl of that, or I can go have something crappy and I can eat
One
the
little thing.
smallest little bit of it. And I'm probably still going to blow my sodium on
Yep.
something small. So
Yep.
it's like, you also have to understand that you're human. And that's one of what I
Yep.
wanted to get into next, is how we beat ourselves up over
Yep.
this, and how that feedback that we get just piles on to us. And that's why I thought it was so brave and courageous of you to go out and find this clinical study, because you've been beaten down so much by all of this that it's so easy to just say screw it and give up, but it's your life that's at
It's
stake.
my life.
So you
Yeah.
can't,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
But you're human. So I'll say
Yep.
I'm human. I make mistakes. I eat the egg foo young every once in a while. I can't help myself. I love it. It's one of my favorite meals. Um,
And for me, when I like break my diet, my hypertension, it's having a black tea in the morning, right? Like I love chai,
mhm.
right? So if I'm gonna have, and I do chai, like we home brew it so it's not all the syrupy nastiness.
Yeah.
So I love chai. It's a black tea. So I have it once a week. And that's my day to break it. And yes, my blood pressure goes up that day.
Mhm.
But I have it Sunday is my chai day. That's I'm breaking it. And so it's kind of like talking to the doctors of, I'm not drinking caffeine. I'm not, doing alcohol. I'm watching my diet, but my chai on Sunday, I just need that, and
This is
we
my
don't have sugar
coffee
in it,
that I get.
It's
Okay.
crazy. But
I
yeah,
have to have my coffee every day. My doctor said I could. He said you can have 1 cup of coffee every day. And I just bought the biggest cup I could.
it's like you can have 1 cup of wine
You
every
can
day, and
have
it's a cup that
one.
holds the whole bottle. But you brought up a really good point of the constantly getting beaten down.
Mhm.
And it's a combination of beat downs, right? It's your medical team going, meh, just anxiety, it's your weight, it's your lifestyle, combined with society saying that. Maybe it's your friends, maybe it's your family, maybe it's some rando troll on the internet going, oh, if you would just exercise, this wouldn't be an issue. Like so many times it is blame the patient. It is your lifestyle caused this problem for you. Whether it's somebody that is overweight, or it's somebody with hypertension, or it's somebody with diabetes, or it's somebody with a heart problem, those problems that quote unquote that are like lifestyle illnesses, so many times aren't, right? Like there's so many times it is a condition that has nothing to do with your lifestyle, that is a genetic condition, or a anatomical defect condition, or your body systems just aren't working right, and it has nothing to do with your lifestyle.
Mhm.
But people don't have compassion for that, and they love to judge. And well, if you would just eat right and exercise, you won't have this problem. I can't tell you how many people said that on my videos. So it's, you get it from your medical providers, you get it from the people around you, you get it from just a financial aspect. Like searching for answers is ridiculously expensive. Every time you see a specialist, you're
Yep.
paying that specialist fee from your insurance, which mine is $95 every visit. I don't know what yours is, but it's usually high, right?
Yes.
Anytime you see your primary for me is $35. That's not nothing, you know? Um, scans, like you're paying hundreds of dollars for each scan you're getting. Lab work, I have to pay $50 every lab test, right? Like when I have had hundreds of lab tests, it adds up. And so you're getting beaten down financially, emotionally, people just don't get it. You just want to be sick, you're a hypochondriac, you've got Munchausen's, you're making it up, your lifestyle, get it from your medical team, and you get it from yourself too, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't feel good. It is hard to live the life you want to live, be as active as you want.
Mhm.
Comfort food's a real thing. Like when you already don't feel good, comfort food is a real thing. And not being able to give that to your body because your body doesn't, like I've gotten to the point I can't eat dinner. I can't eat past 4:30 because my GI system just goes insane. So I can't even like eat comfortably anymore, right?
Right.
So yes, you get beat up left and right, left and right. And you feel like your body is failing you.
Mhm.
And then it's tough on your relationships as well, with your spouse, your partner, your children, your best friends, because there's always things like somebody's like, "Okay, how you doing? How you feeling?" And you don't want to be like, "Shitty." So you're like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm good." And so then you feel like there's parts of your life that you can't share. You
Right.
don't want
Well,
to put
they
the
always
burden
say to
on
me,
them.
you're better now, right?" And I'm like,
Sure.
you don't want me to get into that conversation. Yeah, I'm better. Or everything, it's like I think people like things tidy.
Yeah.
So, oh, you have to have surgery. Oh, you've had it. Oh, great, it went well. Oh, you're on the mend. Great, you're better, right? And it's like when those things aren't the reality that you're living in. Yeah, I had open heart surgery. Yeah, I went through all that stuff. Yes, I made it through on the other side. Still here, kicking. But things aren't better.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel any different. Like it's not like I jumped out of bed. one day when everything was healed up, I jumped out of bed and I did a 5K and I'm feeling great and I can do all these things and my life is back. No, I don't get any of that. It didn't get better. I didn't see the water weight go off like they predicted that it would. It's actually gotten worse. I'm heavier now than when I went in to have surgery. And that was a year and a half ago. And I'm like, and then you get these random glimpses of yourself. I just was looking through Zoom stuff. I've been cleaning some of the old things out, and I ran across a Zoom that I had done a couple years ago, like 4 or 5 years. It was 2022. So what is that? However many years ago. And I see myself and I go,
It's only 3 years
who
ago.
who is that person? Who is that person? Because she had like I don't recognize the person I see in the mirror now. I remember that girl. I don't know where she is. She's hiding and I miss her and I'm just like what happened? And it beats you down
Hmm.
every single day when you're when everything becomes a fight for your survival,
Yes.
right? I'm talking about getting dressed in the morning is a fight. Standing through a shower for 20 minutes is impossible, like for me right now. So, like cleaning my house, doing my dishes, making dinner, I have to make adjustments where I can sit down and take a break in between stirring things. I'm like, damn it, I'm gonna have to have my daughter do the gravy this year because I can't stand there for 10 minutes stirring the gravy so it doesn't stick to the bottom of the pan. Those little things that you would never thought of before, now you take into account in every single thing that you're doing every single day. And I could go on and on. And I don't
And
want everybody to be like overwhelmed with all the crazy
well,
stuff that we do.
the thing with it too, Brie, is like you're too young to be that old. And the thought of,
Exactly.
do I live 20 more years like this? Do I like, and things are just going to get worse. Like, what is my next 10, 15, 20 years going to look like? The body just doesn't bounce back like it used to. Like, it's not going to
That's
get
right.
better. It's not like when you're a kid and you can just bounce back and things are
Oh yeah.
great. So it's
Pick
like,
yourself up,
okay,
dust yourself off, keep running.
your natural aging process combined with this, like, what is it going to look like? And then that's hard too.
Yeah.
Um, so without bumming everybody out, without being a total bummer, let's talk about like what would be, what are some next steps? Like, what are some
What can we
things?
do?
Yeah.
What can we do? What can others do? I think the first step, and I really like what you said, is look to see if they're teaching schools and hospitals close by, right? Because there's so many opportunities there. And if, maybe in your state, maybe it's not even in your town because you live in a smaller town, but look at an area that's a doable kind of thing. I mean, you said 32 visits over 5 years, but if you think about that, if you had to, I would probably drive 2 or 3 hours to do
Hmm.
that each way if that's what it meant. I mean, I drove over an hour in the dead of winter to Mayo.
Yeah.
So
It's not
um
that bad.
it's not that bad. I mean, I would do that. So
Yeah.
like kind of don't just think about what's in your immediate town, but look around for a bigger city that would have that kind of thing going on. And then
And
what are some other things we can do?
I mean, the thing with teaching hospitals as well, whether it's a clinical trial or not, teaching hospitals, you've got students that are not burned out yet. They're interested, they're curious, they're getting the
Right.
latest medical information, and young brains are just naturally curious brains. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've got the people that are teaching them. That if you're at a teaching hospital, then you tend, like, teachers tend to be, this is a blanket statement and not all are like this, but they tend to want to nurture, mentor, grow, and they tend to be a little bit more in the curious side, and needing, because they're mentoring people, they need to stay up to date,
Mm-hmm.
so they're not as complacent. So if you can get involved in a medical system that is more of a teaching system, I think it's wonderful, because the system is more set up for people that are interested in learning,
Mm-hmm.
right? Instead of you're complacent. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've got all the information I need. I mean, the minute a doctor says, well, I've been doing this for 30 years, so I don't know why you think you know it better than me. You know that doctor has stopped learning, right? You want the doctor's like, I've been doing this for 30 years and I will never know all of it. And so, yeah, I don't have an answer for you right now, but I'm going to do some searching. I'm going to talk to my colleagues. We're going to look. That's the doctor you want,
Yeah.
right?
And then if you can't find them, keep looking.
Right, right. And so, yes, I think that's a great takeaway is search. Just keep searching. Don't give up. There are amazing doctors out there. I know a lot of them. We had one on here, Mel Thacker, like
Mm-hmm.
there are amazing doctors out there, amazing nurses, amazing PAs, amazing lab, like scan technicians that will take the time to get the right scan. You just have to find them and you have to advocate for yourself and don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. It's funny how many people on some my videos, and they tend to be women who are like, "Oh, you're just so rude to the doctor." And it's like, well, you don't have to be rude to advocate, but advocacy is not rude. Saying, "Hold up, like we need to look at this deeper,"
Yep.
is important. We do it for our kids. We do it for our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So do it for ourselves.
That's right.
And it's okay. If you don't look at the doctor as an adversary and you're like, all right, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like everything's okay. I want to keep looking. I mean, I did that for my son when he was 3. I noticed a hernia. And I took him to the pediatrician and she said, oh, yeah, hernia. She sent us to a specialist. Specialist was like, no, that's not a hernia. And I was like, I don't know. And then it kind of started hurting him. And then we went to like get some scans and they sent us somewhere else. And I'm like, God, this looks weird. Sent us to another specialist. Specialist was like, no, it's not a hernia. And Children's Hospital, like chalk specialist was like, not a hernia. Didn't give up. I must have taken him to like 6 different doctors. Finally, the last doctor I took him to was a urologist. And he's like, this child has a hernia across his whole belly going vertically. This is very dangerous. I'm scheduling him for surgery. And Bree, I kid you not, he was scheduled for surgery on like a Friday. On a Monday, he was playing with his big brother, got hit in the belly with his brother's knee, and his intestines popped out of that hernia. We had to take him to emergency. They did what they could to put it back in. And the only reason we're not putting him in emergency surgery is that he's scheduled for surgery on Friday. And we want you to be able to do it with your doctor that scheduled it and knows it. So if I had listened to those doctors that were like, it's no big deal, he would have been in emergency surgery and it would have been a totally different situation.
Right.
So I just feel like we have good intuition about our children and we will fight and we won't give up when we know something is wrong. So have that intuition for yourself and fight and don't give up. And just, believe in your intuition in your about your body.
Yeah. It's not being difficult. It's being alive, people.
Yeah.
Stay alive.
Yeah.
That's important. Fight
Yeah.
for yourself and advocate and then bring somebody with. Well, before we wrap things up, I wanted to let everybody know that we are starting a community on a platform. And so we're going to be sharing more about that coming up, but we would love to invite you to come join us. And so look for that
it's a free community.
It's
free.
Yeah, it's free to come in and be a part of what we are doing and share your stories. Who knows, you might be a guest on the platform. We've got all kinds of things coming up. We are going to be taking a break next week for Thanksgiving. It is our week off, which works out great so that we can spend time with our family and eat properly and run 5Ks. But in the meantime, please, I wanted to really talk about you have exciting things with trial. You're going to be finding things out. So I want to I want you to talk about that, but I want to also encourage people to go follow you over on Instagram. You've got it listed on the page here. So they can see what's happening and they can stay because we're on this journey. I feel like, I might be Scooby-Doo in the back of the mystery van, but I'm on the journey with you. And I can't wait to find out. So tell us a little bit about what you've got coming up, what you're going to be finding out and what that means for you.
So I'm going to be finding out if I get in the clinical trial. And here's what's really cool. If I am accepted into the clinical trial, it's great. I'm going to have like top-notch Cadillac care. if I'm in the clinical trial. I will have surgery on December 4th. And so we'll be doing a show from my hospital bed on December 5th, because then I have to stay in the hospital for 3 days after the surgery. So that'll be really cool. But I will have top-notch medical care following me for 5 years, which is incredible. If I don't get accepted into the clinical trial, it means that the trial team found a primary issue, something that is causing my hypertension. And I will have hard evidence, very clear, very good evidence that I can then take to my new medical team. And I will be choosing insurance in the new year that lets me use UCI for my medical team, so that I can continue getting coverage there. I'm getting rid of Kaiser. So that's what I personally have going on. Additionally, this community. You and I both, we started this video podcast. We were like, we're just going to do 6 episodes, and it's really going to be therapeutic, and we just need to talk. And we have just loved it, and we've loved the people that have joined us and shared their thoughts. And you and I both were like, we want a community. We want a place where people feel safe, where people feel like they can tell their story, be believed, not be told, well, if you would just diet and exercise, you'll be better. But be believed about their nuanced medical conditions, and have a safe place to talk about it and to come together to find solutions, the best way forward to advocate for yourself. So that's this community we're building, and it is free. You and I are both like, this needs to be free. We want everybody involved. And on my social media, I'm sharing my story. I'm sharing information I learn. I am jazzed up about jazz bad, like a bad jazz song, about all of the ACA subsidies being cut. It's unconscionable to me how hard it's going to make it for people to get healthcare. So I get a little political. I share my story. I share facts and details. I try to be humorous, because we have to have humor in difficult times. So yeah, I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram and be my community over there. Because my goal, my purpose with sharing my story is that it gives other people the platform to advocate for themselves, gives them language and knowledge, and they're going to see me in my good, bad, and ugly. Like, sometimes I'm on it, and sometimes I'm crying, and sometimes, I'm like, I woke up in the morning and I'm like, I had a horrible night, and that is all, So it's just a place where we can just normalize this medical complexity and take away the shame.
Perfect. It's a great way to end this. Thank you guys so very much for being part of our journey with us, and for coming along on our ride, and I'm so excited because we've started this, back in September, and we've actually kind of seen you, like, it's like a journey to see. And so once, we kind of get that, my start's going to be in January. So we'll hopefully see some big changes coming for me in January, when I start getting my appointments start happening, and I can get back in and take the things I've learned from this and bring it there. So we welcome you along on the ride. We appreciate you and your support. And Tiphany, we are all crossing our fingers for you.
Thank you.
This is so exciting. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye, everybody.